If you've ever lived and worked in a place that snows, you know the importance of reliable transportation. And if you're lucky, a car comes along that is so dependable, so impervious to everything, and so downright stubborn that it absolutely refuses to quit, no matter what. This is the story of one of those. This is the legend of the mighty Falcoon. In the winter of 1975, my friend Tom and I shared an apartment on Euclid Avenue in East Cleveland. The cars we drove were different than they are now. Back then, front-wheel drive hardly existed. Nearly every car on the road was propelled by its rear wheels, which, in winter, were typically shod with big, gnarly snow tires. The cars themselves were heavy, poorly suspended tanks with terrible brakes. Even with snow tires, they skated across the icy roads like Dodgem cars on a Teflon rink. Snowplows ambled through the gloom, spreading salt to melt the snow and ice. Their heavy plow blades turned the pavement into a minefield of lumps, bumps, and potholes that cruelly destroyed front suspensions. Fenders rusted away, and older cars suffered massive structural rust. 'Twas a land of great automotive hardship, and that year my friend and I faced a grim situation. My '68 Plymouth Roadrunner had a bad transmission. Tom's '64 Chrysler also needed work and was up on blocks. Money was tight, and we needed something to get us around. We bought a '66 Ford Falcon for $40. That's right, $40. We named it the Mighty Falcoon. It was a dark green two-door coupe with a 200 cubic inch six-cylinder engine. It seemed to run pretty well, but the automatic transmission leaked badly. It had no snow tires, and the tires it did have were all worn out. The heater did not work, neither did the horn. Extensive rust had left gaping holes in the floor pans so bad the front seat used to rock back and forth on its rusted mounts. And then the muffler fell off, adding to its charm. It was the loudest, ugliest thing on the road, and we flogged it like a sheet metal mule. We ran it hard through wind, rain, snow, slush, and salt, giving it only cheap gasoline and lots of transmission fluid. We never tuned it. We did no work on the brakes, even with the drums grinding on bare linings. We never changed the oil, nor did we add any oil because that engine never leaked or burned any oil at all. The mighty Falcoon just rolled along on its bald tires, leaving a trail of cheerful pink tranny fluid. In 0 temperatures, it was a handful to drive. We had to drink some hot chocolate and take a blanket and heavy gloves. The blanket went across our legs, of course, while the gloves were there to wipe frost off the inside of the windshield since there were also no defrosters. But the little inline six ran flawlessly. It ignored the freezing weather and started right up every time. Now one day I had a job interview up in Cleveland Heights. A bitter Canadian storm had blown in from Lake Erie, and thick flurries of snow clouded the view from our windows. Heavy snow had accumulated for 2 days and showed no sign of letting up. I stood in the kitchen, finishing a mug of hot chocolate, getting ready to go. As I pulled on my coat, Tom said, "Looks pretty nasty out there." I agreed with him. "Yeah, it does." "You sure that car's going to make it?" His question made me think. Leaky transmission, no heater, bad tires, bad brakes. "No problem," I said. And off I went. Gloved and blanketed, I fired up the mighty Falcoon and made my way onto Euclid Avenue, cutting deep tracks in the snow. With the wipers wiping and my hands clearing frost, I waited to make a left turn onto Green Road, where there would then be a long, twisting uphill climb. A hitchhiker stood across the street near the bottom of that hill. He looked at me hopefully that I might stop to pick him up, but stopping was not in my plan. When the light changed, I punched it and fishtailed onto Green Road, climbing about 40 feet up the hill before the madly spinning tires lost their grip and the car began sliding back down. The hitchhiker stepped away. He now wanted no part of this. Just when it looked completely hopeless, the car drifted over and the right rear wheel hit the curb. The downward slide halted, and I felt that wheel dig in, so I hit the gas. Roaring, snarling, and bellowing, the mufflerless mighty Falcoon inched forward. Smoke rolled off the tire, and sparks flew as the wheel ground against the curb. The noise of it racketed off the walls of nearby buildings. The hitchhiker stared in disbelief at that raggedy car waging war with the pavement. His image grew smaller as I pulled away, and by the grace of God and the ghost of Henry Ford, the mighty Falcoon took that hill, a distance of 300 feet, with the wheel screaming against the curb all the way. In the end, rust prevailed, and we had to lay the mighty Falcoon to rest. We watched in sadness as the junk man came to haul it off. He made the mistake of hooking up to the Falcon's rusty bumper, and in a last act of defiance, the car tore loose from its bumper and fell back down on the ground. Never give up. I do hope someone got that engine. It still ran like a champ.